Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're going to be tackling a topic that's both ancient and, surprisingly relevant, beliefs about the afterlife. And trust me, the reason we're exploring this is surprisingly down to earth. It's connected to a brand new book that has everybody talking.
That's right. We're taking a deep dive into this intriguing perspective of Rain Willerslev. He's an anthropologist and the director of the National Museum in Denmark. And his recently released book about the afterlife has sparked quite a debate.
Okay, a museum director who studies different cultures A&D writes about the afterlife. Already sounds like our kind of guy. What's got everyone so fired up?
Well, it's not every day you meet a museum director who's planning to be buried with his hunting bow after he's cremated.
Wait, hold on. He wants to be cremated with his organs, A&D, a hunting bow.
You read that right. And that seemingly contradictory combination, a scientist embracing what some might consider a superstitious ritual, is precisely what makes Wilderslev's perspective so fascinating.
Okay, I'm hooked. It's like he's challenging those Western assumptions that dismiss the afterlife as some, antiquated notion.
Exactly. And he's doing it from this unique vantage point. Willerslev has spent decades immersed in different cultures, primarily in Siberia, but also places like Greenland, studying their beliefs about death and what comes after.
So he's not just approaching this from an academic standpoint. He's witnessed firsthand how deeply intertwined these beliefs are with, the fabric of everyday life.
Absolutely. For many of the cultures he's studied, the afterlife isn't some abstract concept. It's a lived reality that shapes everything from their daily rituals to their understanding of life and death. He even points to the ancient Egyptians. Remember their elaborate burial rituals, the mummification process, all designed to ensure a smooth transition to the next life.
It's amazing how those beliefs manifested in their culture and how much time and effort they invested in preparing for the afterlife. It makes you wonder about our own assumptions, doesn't it?
It does. And Willerslev argues that this belief in an afterlife, this idea of a journey after death that you need to prepare for, has been the norm for most of human history. He sees Western society's dismissal of the afterlife as a relatively recent blip in the grand scheme of things.
So he's saying it's more modern to just assume it all ends.
Yeah.
That's a curious thought.
He even cites a Danish study. Remember, Denmark is known for its secular society, where a significant percentage of Danes admitted to believing in some form of an afterlife.
Wow. So even in a place like Denmark, these beliefs persist. That really makes you think. What's fascinating about that Danish study is that it reveals a disconnect between what we consider modern and people's actual beliefs. It suggests that even in a secular society, the idea of an afterlife continues to resonate, perhaps pointing to a deeper human need to grapple with the mystery of death.
It really does. And that's something Willerslev seems to tap into. He doesn't shy away from these big questions. In fact, he embraces them, urging us to reconsider our assumptions and stay open to the possibility of something more.
So it's not just about respecting different cultural beliefs. He's saying this deep-seated human, inclination towards an afterlife might actually point to something more, something we haven't fully grasped yet.
Right, and here's where it gets even more intriguing. Willerslev doesn't just see this as a matter of cultural belief or philosophical pondering. He suggests that we might be on the cusp of scientific breakthroughs that could fundamentally change our understanding of consciousness and what happens after death.
Okay, now you've really got my attention. A museum director talking about scientific breakthroughs in understanding the afterlife. Tell me more.
He draws a parallel to Darwin and the theory of evolution. Before Darwin, the prevailing view of human origins was very different. Willerslev suggests we might be on the verge of a similar paradigm shift when it comes to consciousness. Imagine if science could pinpoint the precise mechanism in the brain responsible for consciousness. Could we then track its activity, understand its essence, and perhaps even discover whether it persists beyond the physical body? That's the kind of groundbreaking potential Willerslev is hinting at.
Hold on. Are you saying that our understanding of consciousness is about to undergo a revolution similar to what Darwin did with evolution? That's huge, but how does he connect that to the afterlife?
He points to the incredible advancements being made in brain research, particularly in areas like dementia and Alzheimer's. These fields are grappling with the nature of consciousness, memory, and what happens when those things begin to deteriorate.
I can see how studying those conditions could lead to some profound insights. If we can understand what's happening in the brain when someone loses parts of themselves, could that give us clues about what happens to consciousness after death?
That's the line of thinking Willerslev seems to be exploring. He suggests that our brains might be like receivers, tacking into a collective consciousness that exists beyond our individual bodies.
Okay.
Think of it like this. Our individual brains are like radios. each tuned to a specific frequency. But what if there's a broader universal frequency that we all tap into, a kind of cosmic internet of consciousness?
Wow, that's a pretty mind-blowing concept. So he's weaving together anthropology, personal beliefs, and cutting-edge science to paint a new picture of the afterlife.
In a way, yes. He even argues that this fear of discussing the afterlife, this insistence that death is the end, is limiting our ability to explore potentially groundbreaking avenues of research.
It's almost as if he's saying, let's not be so quick to dismiss what we don't yet understand. It's like we're so afraid of what we might find or of challenging our existing worldview that we shy away from asking the really big, uncomfortable questions.
And that's where Willersleff's perspective becomes particularly relevant, I think. He's not afraid to ask those uncomfortable questions, to challenge the status quo, and to encourage us to do the same.
So what you're saying is embracing this uncertainty, this willingness to delve into the unknown, could actually lead to new discoveries, not just about the afterlife, but about the nature of consciousness itself.
Exactly. And those discoveries could have profound implications for how we live our lives, how we approach death, and how we understand our place in the universe. It's about expanding our perspectives and acknowledging that there might be more to reality than we currently perceive.
It's like he's saying, let's dust off those big existential questions we've shoved under the rug and see what happens. Who knows, maybe we'll discover something amazing in the process.
It's a thought-provoking idea, isn't it? And ultimately, whether we agree with Willersleff's specific beliefs or not, his work invites us to engage in these conversations, to question our assumptions, and to remain open to the unknown.
Definitely gives you a lot to ponder. This deep dive wasn't about telling anyone what to believe about the afterlife, was it? It was more about encouraging us to think differently, to embrace a little mystery.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that our current understanding of consciousness, of life and death, might be just the tip of the iceberg.
And who better to guide us on that exploration than a museum director who's not afraid to embrace the unknown and pack a hunting bow just in case.
Perhaps. Until next time on The Deep Dive, keep exploring those big questions.